Science depends on the free flow of ideas and the cut and thrust of debate and being challenged upon your views and what you think might be true, when in fact it may not be true. And that's why I'm a champion of free speech and why I thoroughly agree that free speech should be prevalent particularly in universities and anywhere else in society. The only people, it seems to me, who could be possibly against free speech must fall into a certain category. And that category has to be those people who are completely certain about themselves, certain about their views, certain about their beliefs that they have and the views that they hold, to such an extent that they couldn't countenance the idea that they might possibly be wrong. It's only when you're completely certain about something in that kind of religious kind of way, really, that you would be able to say, well, you don't need to talk to me, I don't need to listen to you, I don't need to listen to what you have to say. I haven't got any ambition to change my mind or my thoughts or my views in any respect whatsoever. I'm never going to be listening. I've got my ears closed to you. And therefore, I don't have to believe in free speech or your right to speak or your right to contradict what I have to say. If I'm absolutely certain about what I know to be true, then why should I bother listening to anybody else? If I'm absolutely certain that I hold the right truth, the absolute truth, the perfect truth, and I've got it absolutely down pat, then why should I bother ever listening to someone else, especially if they're going to challenge views which I know to be truthful? In fact, it then becomes quite straightforward to say, I should be able to shut down and stop everybody from speaking who doesn't agree with my views or my belief. That, after all, is the basis for why free speech is often countered or disagreed with or closed down, people not platformed or deplatformed. And that really is the root of the matter, it seems to me. Absolute certainty and conviction that you can't be wrong. However, if you take a scientific point of view of things, then you'll know that science never says the science is settled. Science is always taking the view that we put things out because we're not sure of things. We think this is true so far, but we want to test it. In fact, it was Karl Popper who said that the whole basis of science is falsifiability, that you must believe that you might be wrong. And if you believe for one moment that you haven't got the perfect truth, then free speech becomes very, very important, a very important thing to defend, a very important thing to open yourself up to, because you might be wrong. And that's why you need to listen to alternative points of view, views which contradict your own, views which, absolutely refute or disagree with what you say, alternative opinions, heterodoxy, anything which is different from what you think. You have to be open up to that. If you're not, then you might as well, it's the equivalent of having locked yourself in a cage or in a position whereby you can't move out of the position that you're in and you can make no progress. In the Bible, they spoke of a sin, the unforgivable sin against the Holy Ghost. And if there is such a thing as an unforgivable sin in modern day language, it seems to me that sin would have to be the sin against free speech. And why would I say that? Well, that's simply because if you deny the possibility of listening to an alternative, then what you do is you condemn yourself to always remain with your own opinion. You cannot take any steps to improve, to progress, to get beyond the view that you already have, and you sit comfortably with that, locked up in the prison of your own ideas, and not able to escape to something which might be bigger, truer, better, and a greater freedom to understand. It is, if you like, the equivalent of a kind of sin against the Holy Ghost, because you're denying the very thing, the free speech, the alternative point of view, the very thing which might get you out of being in a conceptual rut or being in a belief that you're absolutely certain of your truth and you don't need to go anywhere else. As I say, the only people who really fall into that category are essentially the religious. But if you want a view which enables you to progress, to grow in understanding, to take on views which you never thought you understood before, to expand the boundaries of what you might be able to comprehend, then you have to welcome free speech. Because free speech is the only thing which will challenge your certainty and turn you into someone who is a much wider and a bigger person, able to accept the fact that maybe you just don't know everything.